Hi everybody. I just needed to give you an update on how my health is doing. I got some different medications and I'm doing a little bit better than I was, but I'm still struggling. One of the hardest things that I've had to deal with this new ileostomy journey of mine is leaking. I had a blowout this morning. Hi baby. Thank you for the kiss. I had a blowout this morning. I woke up and I felt something wet on the side of my clothing, my jammies. And I was so hoping that it wasn't a blowout. Well, it was. And the whole side of it where I had put a bandage for an ulcer that I've been dealing with, the whole side of it had blown out. And thank God I hadn't eaten a whole lot before I went to bed last night, and the output was very thick and mushy. If it had been liquid, I would have been even in a worse position than what I was. But thankfully, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it's disappointing and it's frustrating and it's scary, and you wish that you didn't have to deal with stuff like this. And Reese's keeps bumping the camera, sorry, with her hiney. She's down here. It's very stressful because you don't want to have to deal with stuff like this, and you'd rather not have to have a bag, but the facts and the reality of it is that this is what you have to deal with. I know when I first got home from the hospital, I put one of those underpads on my bed, and I was so scared that there was going to be a leak that I literally wrapped one around me and slept that way every night for like 4 or 5 nights because I was so scared. Then I realized that, it wasn't really going to be that bad. And I've woken up one time where I did have a leak, but it only got on my clothes. It didn't get on my bed. Well, today it got on my bed. And that was the most frustrating part because my laundromat facilities here in my apartment complex are down 2 flights of stairs, and it's not for people who have a lot of disabilities. Trying to carry a big basket of clothing down 2 flights of stairs is very difficult. There is a local laundromat close to me, but it's usually very busy, so it complicates things basically. But I just wanted to say that in this journey of mine with my ileostomy, there have been ups and downs. I know yesterday, Thanksgiving, we have family members who have some dogs, and I went to open the door and the dogs started jumping, and I immediately started panicking because I didn't want a bag to get ripped by a dog claw and end up with everything that I had on be completely soiled, and having to change a bag and then not having anything to put on. So I was highly stressed, and thankfully they put the dogs in the garage for just a little while so I could visit just a minute, and then I left. But the stresses that I'm dealing with are very hard to go through sometimes, and having to get up like super early in the morning and deal with something when you're so tired and exhausted to start with that you just don't want to have to deal with it, but you actually do have to because it's an urgent situation. That's a lot of stress. I do have upcoming appointments with several doctors, a cardiologist, a gastroenterologist, a spinal surgeon, and my colorectal surgeon. And I'm going to be discussing with my colorectal surgeon a possibility of taking out part of my colon and re-hooking up everything, hooking back my small intestine to my colon, my large intestine. Um, since I have a redundant colon, which is an extra long one, and there's lots of twists and turns, um, it doesn't make sense to hook it up the way it is now, because it wasn't working whenever it was together. But the possibilities of removing part of your colon and hooking it back up is a very good percentage of success rates. So I'm going to be discussing that with them. But the healing process and trying to get your colon and everything woke up after it's not been working for a little while is a long battle, and I know there's lots of videos out there about that and how people have to sometimes wear diapers, and the immediate rush of diarrhea is a real concern, but they say that it gets better as the weeks and the months pass, and there's been a lot of success rates. So I have a lot on my plate to think about, a lot of stress that's going on. So if you could just say some prayers for me, because I don't want to be in this position. I don't think anybody wants to be in a chronic illness position. And those of you who have ileostomies or colostomies, urostomies, you know that there's many times that it's a struggle. So if you could just please keep me in your prayers, I'd appreciate it, and I'll update you all.